My name is Don Carey. I'm a 10-year NFL player and a graduate of Norfolk State University, and you're tuned in to the Athlete Student Podcast.
Welcome to the Athlete Student Podcast, where former student athletes take us on their college journey, discussing the high and lows of balancing athletics, academics, and other demands. No two stories are the same. I'm your host, Eugene Holloman, author of the Athlete Student book series. Let's get right into it. So in 2009, your draft class, it was the same draft class as mine. I remember, and I knew at this time I wasn't going to get drafted, but I remember watching the whole draft, the only other time I watched every single draft pick, just with a slight glimmer of hope. And so we get to the 6th round, and I hear Don Carey from Norfolk State. My first reaction, man, I was angry. Like, how this dude from Norfolk State get drafted? You know, and I'm be honest, if I can be honest, I was straight up hating on you, right? Like, I'm at JMU. This dude at Norfolk State, he shouldn't be drafted before me. And that was some of my thoughts. And then fast forward, I get to know you and understand the work that you put in. I'm like, man, how could I ever hate it on this dude? And in your book, it's not because I'm better than you. You stated that you wonder why a lot of guys you seen play at Norfolk State didn't get drafted. What are your thoughts about the disrespect that HBCUs get on a national level?
Knowing what I know now about making it to the NFL, I think guys just go about it the wrong way. You know, and it's not just on HBCU level, because there are a lot of HBCU players in the league. Yeah. And when you think about it, a lot of players who make it past that covenant 5-year mark are HBCU guys. But on to answer your question, it really has to do with the perception of competition.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So you would think because Alabama is doing all these great things that, you know, everybody there should be able to translate that to the NFL. And it's not the truth. It's not the truth. The NFL is not institutional based. Right. I don't care if you went to Bama or you went to Norfolk State. Right. It's really based on the individual and the particular skill sets that individuals have.
Right, that makes sense. I'm gonna take it back. Let's go back to high school. So you went to Grand Rapids Central, and I read that your
Catholic Central.
your freshman year you played quarterback, and then you transferred or transitioned here to Norfolk. Take me through that whole transition of being in Michigan, then coming to Norfolk.
I hated it, bro. To tell you the truth, we had a rough background growing up, and getting to high school was the first chance that I had an opportunity to kind of be, the cool kid. Yeah. Like my older cousins were the stars on the varsity team. And I was a freshman quarterback on the freshman team. Yeah. See, in Grand Rapids, you had a 78ers league for 7th and 8th graders. You had a freshman league, then you had JV, then you had varsity. All right, so I was a starting quarterback on a freshman league, and I was starting to get a little recognition, as being their cousin. And then I find out December 13th, we're moving down to Norfolk, Virginia. Right. I'm like, where the heck is that at? Right. And I get here as a huge culture shock. All right, I got to start all over from the beginning. I got to build a new rapport with the new team. I got to try to figure out how to walk through the walls of Booker T, which I tell people all the time. That's a different type of school, man. It's hard to walk through those schools, but suffice to say, it was tough to begin with. So.
At Booker T, and go ahead and jump in, Mitch. I'm sorry. Yeah. At Booker T, you played defensive back, special teams. You was known for your versatility.
I played everything.
Did you have a favorite position at that time, or?
When I first got there, I liked playing outside linebacker. Okay. I did, because I like hitting. Yeah. You know, I was a young, angry kid, and I was guaranteed to hit somebody at linebacker every play. So
the anger.
Yeah.
Where would you say the anger came from?
Firstly, stimulated from my father not being there, and then compounded when I saw, how we didn't have. And it really hit you when you make it to high school. You realize how, much poorer you are than everybody else. So it's my pops not being there, then seeing that we didn't have things, and then watching my mother struggle, raising all of us by herself, working 2 jobs. Right. So football was like my woosah. I get the Bobby Boucher some cats. Right. You know what I'm talking about? Right. And I was 100 and nothing pounds. So I was just running down, just throwing everything I had at cats. So, linebacker's my favorite for a while.
What was that process like for you? You said you were getting recognition, then you had to start over. What was the process like of trying to gain recognition here? And were you even trying to gain recognition or just doing it, like you said, because it was a release for you?
Yeah, it was mainly the release, and just doing something I loved. I never really played football for recognition, right? So for me, I began playing football because I wanted to hang out with my cousins, right? And so I did it for that, and along the lines of that, I fell in love with the sport. So now I'm doing it because, I actually like hitting people, and not getting in trouble for it. I like, running football and shaking cats. So I fell in love with the sport. We playing throwback and run in front of the house every single day. Going to the hospitals, I'm running in the fire hydrants and stuff. Right. I fell in love with it. So the recognition part didn't come. So I really got to college, to tell the truth. I was never really a coveted guy at Booker T. I was always a third option, and we had guys better than me that were playing from a talent level. So, yeah.
And that's why I think where we at today is different, right? Because when we grew up, we did play throwback and run, and that's how we just gained just a natural love for the game. But now it's like kids falling in love because I get to be a millionaire.
Yeah,
you know
right.
What I mean? You think when you think about that, what would you tell kids as far as actually loving the game for the game itself?
Well, when you make it to the league, the love for the game is what sustains you,
right?
Because it is hard to prepare an individual for the business side of football, and if the love of the game is not there to kind of help buffer, that blow of business. If all you're ever chasing is money, you're gonna fall out of love real quick.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying if the money is there, don't go get it.
Yeah.
But the love for the game is really what helps you to be the best. And it's in chasing being the best at what you're doing that scouts begin to come see you. So I tell guys, it's not your job to make it to the league.
Right.
It's your job to be the best at wherever you are, wherever you are.
Right.
And then they'll come find you. It's their job to find you.
So what was that process like for you in high school? Like you said, there were guys better than you. Was it just a chance that Norfolk State came out and saw you one Friday night and said, you know what, I like this cat, so let me give him a chance? Or
Wasn't even like that, bro.
Yeah.
No. So at the end of my senior year, I remember at Booker T making my highlight tape, chopping, mixing up on VHS. It's crazy. And I sent it out to a bunch of teams, and the common response was, you just don't see the talent level for D1 ball, or you're small. I graduated 120 pounds, so I was a small dude. Or they just wanted their scholarship money to go to better players. Okay, got it. So I get a call from Norfolk State because I sent my highlight tape to them. And at the time, they said, son, we just think you're too small to play on D1 level. It's Norfolk State telling me this at the time. Now,
Right.
They ain't no powerhouse by no stretch of the imagination. But they're telling me I'm too small to make it. The coach at the time loved big players. So he gets fired. Maybe a month later, I get a call from a guy named Pete Adrian. Never seen me play, but he just watched some tape. And he was like, look, man, you said you're a small guy, but you remind me of this dude I coach named Rasheem Mathis. And, if I just got here and trying to change the organization around, and you're the kind of guy I want. And I hung up on him, right? I clicked, wow, because y'all just told me a month ago I wasn't good enough. And I was actually ready to quit playing football. I stopped chasing any team or writing letters, and I was like, I'm just going to go into this engineering department at Norfolk State, right, because I had a scholarship for there. So anyway, I end up accepting Coach Adrian's offer, and the rest is history.
Oh, wow. So when I say the name Willie Gillis, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I ain't got no spite towards him, man. But I'm glad he was fired.
Yeah, he's a head coach. He was a head coach
at the time. No knock on him. They have their philosophy of the type of players that work within their system. If you call it worked, whatever. And I just didn't fit that philosophy. Right. And it works. It works better for me because had I come here under his system, I don't think I would have succeeded.
Your senior year, you had 8 interceptions. Your team went 5-6 though. Do you feel like you were snubbed? And talk about the whole recruitment process. Was it just Norfolk State? Did you hear from other schools?
Yeah. So there were 2 schools that had some serious interest. It was Tennessee and Villanova.
Oh, okay.
Right, and at the last second, Tennessee pulled out to give my scholarship to a kid they really wanted out of Florida, offensive lineman. And I guess he had committed to another school and then decommitted at the last second. and Villanova wanted me to walk on, and kind of earn a scholarship later.
Right.
And and nobody in my family ever been to college. We ain't got no
Right.
money for that, man.
Right.
we don't know nothing about FAFSA, financial aid. Seriously, we had no idea. So it was like we just gave up, and I did have a scholarship to Norfolk State, like I said, in the engineering department, because I wanted to study optical engineering at the time. So I really didn't even think about it after the season, but I did feel like I was snubbed, man. So I led the district for the first time in interceptions. I had some pretty good games, man, but we was whack.
Right.
So, but we did go. Crazy thing, we went to the playoffs.
Saw that.
We went to the playoffs and got smashed.
I saw that. I'm trying to figure out how you guys made it to the playoffs, only winning.
Because the Eastern District was just weak that year.
I got
It was very weak that year. So you'll go 5-7. We didn't win the district, but we still had a playoff seed.
Right.
Like Granby actually won the district that year. So.
I guess now, and to your point of you having an offer from Tennessee and then pulling out, did that kind of make you realize that, oh, the NCAA is a business too? Like they got to profit off these guys too. Or did you kind of look at it that way and realize this is a business side too? It's not just
Not at all. I was just spiteful.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
in my mind, I was like, dang, I'd have been rejected by my pops. I'd have been rejected by peers. Now I'm getting rejected on the next level. It's like, here we go again.
So it's all on the
Right. So I'm like, you know what? I'm done.
Right.
I'm done with this trash.
You graduated 7th in your class in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So you already knew the importance of education comes before athletics. Who helped put that into your mind?
So firstly, it came from fear. So I grew up fearful of ending up like my pops.
Gotcha.
So everything I did was kind of in protest to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he was a class clown, didn't really do good in school. I made sure I did good in school. I ain't really play around a lot. He was a beast on the basketball court. I played football.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's more of a passive dude. I'm a confrontational in your face guy.
Right.
So the secondly, it came from my mom's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she would always tell me, look, man, if you're going to do something, it's going to come through education. And she
Right.
held me to a high standard.
Okay.
And then when we came down to Virginia, my stepdad kind of reinforced that,
Yeah.
right, to make sure I was on task. So yeah.
There's a funny story. I wasn't even gonna bring this up, but I absolutely love your book. So to any kids out there, actually go to Amazon and get Don's book, man. I'm gonna use it as just motivational, just individually for myself. But it's a story about your stepdad going into your room.
Oh man,
and taking your dresser out of the room.
who does that, right?
Did you credit him a lot for providing the discipline that you use even to this day?
Yeah, because I had none.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, so I was raised in a house full of females, and not to say that women can't teach a man discipline.
Yeah.
It's just at a certain age, your mama's lick stop hurting.
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
right,
Just being real. From a physical standpoint, she wasn't really hurting me no more. So I was as long as I was never a troubled kid, but I was a slick dude.
Right.
So I knew if I did certain things right, then mom's her radar won't be up as high. So I had a lot of play, a lot of leeway to do what I wanted to do. But having my stepdad in the home kind of quashed all that and really helped me focus, like really redirect my energy towards a goal that he asked that I wanted. You know, what goals do you want? And he kind of held me accountable. And the things that he did, even though I hated him at the time, have had a profound impact on who I am today. So much so that when it comes to fold my clothes, like I got that. Like, baby, don't worry about it. I'm fold my own clothes because I like my stuff a certain way.
Right.
You go in my closet, it's organized a certain way. I'm anal about it.
That's huge. Though.
So yeah, but also in hindsight, that helped me along my journey in being a good NFL player or a football player in general.
Right.
Because one of the greatest qualities that a football player can have is the ability to do the same thing over and over again, consistency. And like coaches always say, you can run a 4.6, but if you run a 4.6 every single day, I'd rather have you than a guy who runs a 4.3 on Tuesday and a 4.6 on Wednesday. You know what I mean? So it really helped out.
Leaving high school, so you accepted the full scholarship to Norfolk State. How did you think before you even walked on campus? How did you think your high school career would pan out?
I mean, pretty much like it did. To tell you the truth, I never really had no high expectations. I played football for the love of it. I know rooted for my teammates who did well, you know, and I just love hanging out with the guys. Any excuse to get out the house.
Yeah.
So I mean, to never really set goals for high school, I thought I did pretty good.
Did you come out of high school knowing you wanted to go into building construction, or was that kind of something that came along when you got here?
Well, so I wanted to go into engineering, right? So I'm a physics guy. I took like 4 physics classes at Booker T, and I didn't really get into building construction until like my junior year. I was kind of chasing this chick, and she was in this mechanical drafting class. So I took the class where they had a free elective, and I found a love for something I didn't even really know existed. So I finished the curriculum, 6 months into the year. It's a 10-month program, of course. And then I go on to the architectural drafting class, CAD. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
And I finished that up before the year was over. But I still wasn't going to try to pursue it. I still want to do the engineering thing because that's where the money was,
right.
I thought. But once I got the football scholarship, I wasn't able to do engineering and then do football because the NEMIS requirements were just too much.
Right.
So I fell back on the building construction deal.
All right, so here we are, your freshman year. You start 10 games as a freshman. You were named MEAC Rookie of the Week. You guys only win 4 or 5 games. What?
We won 2 games.
Yo, you guys won 2 games. Okay.
To be exact.
4 games in 2 years, brother,
Okay.
to be exact.
What was that like? Playing in college, black college at that.
Right. So college life was a whirlwind, right? I'm like, now I go from a strict house ran by a military dude, so I have crazy freedom.
Yeah.
I got crazy freedom. Now I'm surrounded by all these girls. I'm like, oh, snaps. But it was cool. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And again, I wasn't really thinking about the wins and losses didn't really impact me. I hated losing.
Right.
But the wins and losses didn't really impact me because I didn't feel as if, we really had a chance to win to begin. To be totally honest with you, I just love hanging out with the guys, right? So I was really more focused on just being the little brother, to the older guys, and I really didn't start taking on a different mentality until going into my sophomore year, because Adrian kind of set me down and said, "Look, man, I brought you here for a reason.
Right.
Like I didn't bring you here to kind of follow those dudes. I brought you here to help change the culture." So that sparked something in me to kind of, I need to start thinking differently about football, and about how I carry myself. Because starting 10 games, I didn't realize how many people began to look up. You know, I didn't think it was a big deal, but I guess it was a big deal. So it's myself and a guy, Andrew Raymer, who started on the offensive line. He actually started all 12 games.
Okay.
Or 11 games, I'm sorry. So guys kind of looking up to us as, these going to be our new leaders. And on a team that really didn't have leaders, cats are just looking for somebody to gravitate to.
19 years old, though, right? You were around 18, 19 years old, and you asked to be a leader.
I was 18, yeah.
How do you go about that? How do you instill leadership principles and get guys to follow, or is it something that guys just gravitate towards?
So I was not vocal my first 2 years. Really, I just did the right thing. And I think that's important for if somebody wants to be a leader, firstly, make sure the things you're doing is right. Ain't no worse than somebody want to be a leader and you just
Absolutely,
and you ain't doing nothing right. So it helped out that I was doing the right things, and then I have to credit any level of leadership that I had to a guy named Andre Twine and another guy named Daniel Hammond. They both played corners here at Norfolk State, and they really took me under their wing, and they showed me how to watch film, and they made me get up at 5:30 in the morning to go work out with the track team. So they kind of helped me not to fall into that trap of college, drinking, partying, girls too much. I mean, I did.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I did, but they were there to kind of reel me back in, to kind of help steer me to a particular path. So.
Growing up that fast, so at 19, you know, especially as a sophomore, there's guys older than you.
Yeah.
And what was that like seeing them, I guess, buy in, or for lack thereof, buy in? I mean,
so once I started looking at it from that standpoint, I got real frustrated because I'm like, here I am, like giving all I can to the team, and you're not.
Yeah.
Right? But then I hear the mantra that guys are spouting, how they want to win, and we had this mantra, S is for the spirit, P is for the pride, A is for the attitude we carry deep inside, R is for respect, which all Spartans demand, team is for togetherness, but T is for togetherness, I'm my brother's right hand, A is for achieving a team common goal, N is for never letting down the mighty green and gold. Like, that meant something to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Tell.
It was an acronym for Spartan. That meant something to me. And I actually began to hold cats accountable to that. So when somebody said they wanted to be a football player, those were the standards I would try, because those were the standards I was living up to.
Right.
And it got to the point now where if you weren't living up to that standard, I didn't care if you was a freshman or a senior, bro. Like, right? And I kind of, cats started looking at me like, man, DC crazy when it come to football, because I didn't give 2 Fs, right? And I would let you know, like, on the football field, if you ain't doing what's necessary to win, then we got a problem. Right, and I wasn't the only one who had that mindset, so I don't make it seem like I was the only guy. I mean, Coach Adrian did a good job of bringing guys on with that mindset, but definitely I was one of the first ones to kind of start thinking like that.
And so that started a cultural shift, right? And then a young kid who I know pretty well, Terrell Whitehead, comes in, and he plays free safety. You start 10 games your freshman year at free safety, and I mean, football players are known to be like these prideful individuals. We have an ego, right?
Right.
And I get the sense that you didn't have that, right? Or I mean, what was that like? This kid come in, and I'm versatile. I get it. I can play corner. Was it just for the betterment of the team? Take us through that.
Right. So Coach Adrian actually set me down, and he was talking to me. He did it twice, right? He did it for Terrell Whitehead, and then again for Jamie Short.
Okay.
Right, who also came. They came the same year, but Jamie had clearinghouse issues, couldn't play his first year. And he set me down and said, look, I'm bringing this guy in. He is a free safety. We're lucky to have him. I need to know, will it be an issue if I move you to another need in the defensive backfield? And I'm like, no, I had no issue.
That's tight.
I'm like, Coach, it's going to help us win?
Right.
All right, well, let's go talk to Coach. I'll learn how to play corner. You know what I mean? I didn't care. I just wanted to win.
Yeah.
Right. At that point, I was tired of losing. I was tired of the embarrassment, of cats not giving us respect on campus. So like I see, our track team has been monstrous since before I got here. They're still doing great things now, and you see the respect that they had, and I'm like, here we are, football players, and we're not getting that respect. So I didn't care who we brought in. They can help us win. Yeah. And we actually ended up being roommates his first year. And I would make him, if I'm studying film, T. White, you studying film. Right? Because we needed him. We needed him.
So no draft stock. It's affected my draft stock. None of that went through your mind?
No, I wasn't even thinking about going to the NFL. I mean, you got to think.
Right.
So like I said, I was playing the game for the love of it.
Yeah.
And secondly, nobody had been drafted from my school since 1996, bro.
But
he was just happy to be here.
Right. But there's still stories out there that when your teammates ask what you want to do with your life, they ask Don Carey, what you want to do with your life, and you'll tell them straight up, NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
So you had that goal, but at the same time, you can still keep the team first.
I would say I had that dream.
You had the dream. Okay.
Right.
I got you.
I had the dream, but I did have a goal because I set a goal in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got to college, I'm not going to act like I continue to focus on my goals.
Okay.
More as I was kind of, I'm a really in the moment guy. So I was focused on in the moment.
Yeah.
Right. And I really didn't have time to think about the NFL. We had guys who I thought had NFL level ability. We had a receiver, Emory Sammons. Mm-hmm. We had another guy, Earl Henry. We had a tight end, Jonathan Allen. Mm-hmm. We had linebackers and the McGuell twins that I thought really could play on the next level, and they had the ability to. It just never panned out for them. So I wasn't even thinking about that.
Was that discouraging to see?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. I'm like, dang, man, if these guys not making it,
Right. Exactly.
what shot I got, right? So what I did was, instead of worrying about being an NFL player, I'm going to be the best Spartan I can be.
Right.
When did you know, though, that this is a possibility? I have a shot at this.
Ooh, okay, so now we get to my junior year, which was really interesting because the summer before my junior year, I wasn't here. Like, I took an internship in Scottsdale, Arizona, right, to be a field engineer on a project there. And while I was there, I trained myself. So I would have to get up dumb early because they're super hot in the summer.
Like 110.
So we had to be on site at 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting up at 3:30, just going to run.
Yeah.
Right, and then I'll go to work, and then I get off and I run in the heat, and then I lift. No, seriously, I lift and down to the little place where they had, and when I came back, I was in great shape.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first year we played a D1 team, a D1A right team, and we played Rutgers.
Rutgers, yeah, I remember that.
And I remember that Rutgers had Kenny Britt, who was slated to be a first round draft pick, and Taekwon Underwood, who was slated to be a second or third, ended up going like fourth or fifth that year. And it was tough sledding for them cats on the left side. You know that.
I remember watching that game or seeing the ticker, and I think at halftime it was only like 7-0.
No, it was not.
It was not?
So it was 7-0 going into the last 2 minutes of the second quarter.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And they figured out our defense, to be totally honest with you. So to that point, we were in a 3 deep zone. Right, and then we'll flip to a man the rest of the downs. So they would run the ball, and then they would try to throw the ball after that.
Okay.
So their correction then come at halftime. They start throwing the ball on first down, and it was play action to Ray Rice, and we eating up these teams like crazy, and that forced us to change our coverage to something we really didn't plan for. We started playing cover 2. Right, based on it's like a 62 roll. So if they're in a pro slot, we're in cover 2. If they're in a slot, we're in cover 2, and then pro we go to cover 3, and they ate us up because guys wasn't ready. So we went into halftime. It was like 30-something zap.
Oh wow!
So they scored like they broke like a NCAA record in scoring on us.
When you see like Kenny Brent or Underwood years later, do you guys talk about those moments or?
Well, I wasn't that close with Kenny Britt, but Taekwon, I used to mess with Taekwon. But the Taekwon will always hold it over my head that I did catch that bomb on you. And I try to tell him it was not a bomb on me, bro. My safety didn't rotate, but I didn't throw my guy under the bus like that. But still, yeah, cool dudes. But that day really opened up my eyes. That dang, I think I may be able to play on the next level, right? Because Kenny was a big guy, physical guy, and I just muscled him the whole game. Which, I mean, no disrespect to him, but that was a eye-opening moment to me.
You said you're already crazy about football by that point, so it just took it to another level.
Another level. Right. So that year, I lead the conference in interceptions. That year, I made so many game-winning plays. I think I had like 6 game-winning plays. And I didn't realize that I was doing all this stuff because I'm in a moment to one of our trainers. We're playing against Morgan State at Morgan State. And it's the final drive. Now they stop our offense. And now we go out there. And our trainer was giving what he said, I'm waiting for that Don Carey moment. And I'm like, what? And then he was like, yeah, man, you look at the last 5 games, you've made the game-winning play for us. So we go out there, and sure enough, I get it. I make that game-winning play. They try to hit the tight end, like the little hook route to bottom me out, and I just smashed them. And we win the game, and that's when we go on to play Delaware State in the chip, and lose.
Still think about that.
Yeah.
Is this a coincidence though? Like your junior year, you rise up to the level, but also your team rise up to a place where Norfolk State hasn't been in years. Was that a coincidence, or everybody else believe that too? I
think I had something to do with it, but to be honest, I think by that time Coach Adrian had his guys.
Right.
He had the caliber of guys that he wanted with the right mentality. Certainly as the leader of the team, it helped, that your leader was reiterating the things that was coming down from the top. Right. So we're all on one mindset. But I don't want to make it seem as if, I was this grand figure that were the guys leading behind the fight. I don't think so, but what the little things I did do help. I'll give you a story. There's a time the guys always, my teammates still talk to me about today, where we were in trouble, and Coach had us out running stadium stairs in the morning, and one of the other guys who wanted to be a leader, so-called. He wanted to bring it up and clap it up, great team moment of bonding, and I just cussed everybody out. I'm like, yo, this is punishment. Like, if y'all want to do better, do better. You know what I mean? And guys kind of gravitated to that. And we end up having several players to do things like that and hold guys accountable. And it helped.
That's tight.
Yeah.
Even though you guys were succeeding your junior year, you were quoted in your junior year, you stated that I'm striving to be an architect. People assume we have it easy in life, that everything is given to us, and we come to college just for sports. In actuality, we're trying to get an education like everyone else. How many guys you played with had that same mindset?
Well, I would say the guys who really took life seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe less than half.
Yeah.
But to be totally honest with you, I wasn't hanging out with those other cats who didn't have that mindset.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So for me, my immediate roommates and a core group of guys who really will be considered maybe leaders of the team, we wanted to make it to the league, but at the end of the day, we understood that a lot of cats weren't making it.
Mm-hmm.
So we were utilizing football for all we could. We was gonna squeeze that lemon dry.
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the mentality that we had.
That's interesting because at JMU we're considered, still a lower level program, right?
But a powerhouse.
But a powerhouse
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
thinks that they can make it to the league, and so a
Mhm.
lot of guys major in the easiest majors, thinking that I'm going to the league from here,
Mhm.
and we still don't have any more guys make it from JMU than Norfolk State has. But it's interesting to see. I wonder if it's because you saw that a lot of guys didn't make it from Norfolk State that your mindset was differently, or let's say if you went to a Tennessee, do you think you still would have had the same mindset?
I don't know. To be totally honest with you, there's a part of my past that was instilled in me, to always do things a little differently.
Right.
And I still had that fear of ending up like my pops.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew since I was in college, which no one in my family had ever done, if we're tracking immediate families,
Yeah.
that I wanted to graduate that and have that notch under my belt to kind of prove to him that, look, I'm a man, even though you didn't help.
Right.
So, but it's hard to flip a coin.
Right. Yeah.
I have no regrets. I wouldn't go back and change anything. So I think NSU was the best path for me.
And would you say, because you say, a lot of people just think you guys come to just play sports. Would you say those weeks, what was the hardest part of the week for you? Because, like you said, you guys are leaving out Thursday nights.
Mm.
You're traveling to, wherever. What was the hardest part of the week for you to keep up with becoming the Strive and be an architect? And then you got to get ready for film and playbook and stuff like that.
The workload was tough in the BCT department. So for me, I had to sacrifice nightlife in college to do work. I was one of those guys. I was never really around that much because I was either in class, which we had a lot of night classes, which helped out, or I was in film, or I had some playtime. Of course, you in college.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I had to sacrifice, and I ended up making the right choice. Right, so.
You did.
A wise man once told me that for student athletes, you got three things that you can choose from. You got academics, you got athletics, and then you got the nightlife. And you only have time for two, right? And so for me, I chose athletics and the nightlife. And it came back to bite me. But for you, you chose academics and athletics, and rather than spending too much time.
A little bit of nightlife.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a little easier for me too because I was a cornball. To be totally honest with you, so it wasn't like I was always the greatest guy, the most popular guy. So I really didn't have the pressure initially that you had.
Right.
I wasn't a highly touted dude coming in. Matter of fact, it was a lot of animosity towards me from the players when I first got in, because Coach, he brought me in to start, which it wasn't like that for other freshmen. Right? Andrew Raymond and myself, we were brought in to start, which means we got to take a spot of somebody else, and then they were close themselves. So it was easy for me to make the decision of doing what I have to do with my grades in the school because I wasn't really I wasn't accepted yet. They made me wear like the little the Thurman bar, right until like the last practice before the game. Right. It's like a little jokey joke, but that's how I was kind of saying. So, yeah.
Your senior year, when did you know, like, all right, man, the NFL is, this could happen?
So we played against Kentucky, and I had a pretty good game there. Randall Cobb was the slot guy,
Okay.
and I was matched up with him a lot, and we ended up knocking out their quarterback. and they moved Randall Cobb to quarterback.
Okay.
That brother ran all over us, man. we wasn't ready.
Right.
No, but after the game, the first was the first time I had an agent walk up to me, and black guy. He had sat with my mom's, and he told me straight up. He said, "Look, man, you don't have the talent to get drafted, but I can really help you on get a walk on the team or something." And I was like, okay. And then from there, I started getting phone calls. Scouts started coming in, interrupting practice. And I remember one time a guy from the Chiefs came and he held me out of practice. He was working on things that he thought I needed to work on. And I'm like, what? I got to get ready for this game. He was like, no, you need to be here with me. Right. So from there, I started thinking maybe there's a chance. Right, because we're having 2-3 guys come to each practice and coming to games. And then I began to show up in games to kind of exceed their expectations. I remember the guy came down from the Jets, and he was talking to my moms and dad playing against Morgan State my senior year. And he was like, he doing good, but he got to do something to wow us. And that's my first time having a 2-interception game, and I took one like 97 yards to the house.
Wow, yeah.
And so my dad was like, "Is that enough for you?"
Is that the longest in school history?
No. Terrell Whitehead would take one 103 yards.
Oh wow.
That's it. We had some battles, man.
Yeah.
T. White had some battles. I used to tell him, look, if the ball is thrown in my area, don't come over here. Deep balls. I love him to death. Great coach now. A tremendous player, 2-time All-American. Yeah. He made it to the league, but injuries. So who knows what his career could have been.
Your favorite moment of college?
Oh, man, easy. Where my junior year, or my sophomore year, actually, I think, we were playing Hampton. Right? So it was my junior year. We're playing Hampton University. The game is we just scored to go up 19-20. Right? No, they just scored to bring it to within 19-20. I'm sorry. So they're kicking an extra point to tie the game. End of the game, man, I just remember field goal block. I dashed through, the wing and the tight end, blocked the field goal. We win the game.
Wow.
Right? Whole crowd comes down and we doing the cubic shuffle on the field. First time we had beaten Hampton in I don't know how long, man. So that was a great feeling. The second moment I would say would have been against FAMU. It was the first time I had a game-winning interception, right? So I had to, and it was a beauty, right? I'm playing safety, and I dropped down to the flat, and I knew the little slant route was coming, and I just jumped in front of it, diving, laid out, caught it, game over, we out. So yeah, those probably my two proudest moments.
Do you, as a player that came before social media was the center of, I feel like, society? Because do you feel like you saw a difference from players that came into the league from that era, with the 3-star, 4-star, 5-star was like the thing that was kind of pushed on them, and that's what you see in their bios now. Do you see a difference in the mentality of players from that era?
Yeah, and first let me say I'm glad I was pre-social media.
Absolutely.
Right, I'm glad I was pre-social media. But I do see an audacity of players now, right? Because you've been told that you're great, you're the best thing since sliced bread. You got your highlights all over the place. The guys coming to the NFL with this, this swag, like I know, like I'm the dude. And I mean, God bless, I'm cool. You want to have confidence. But I think that was to a lot more individuals' detriment, right? Because I would tell them, I don't care where you're drafted. When I see a rookie coming to the league, I'm like, we got fresh dinner.
Right.
Like, coach, let me guard him this game. I don't care who it was. But then when guys come in with that mentality of, this is mine, I'm taking it, bump y'all, I've been this dude since whenever, it makes it harder for a veteran to kind of pull you under the wing and teach you how to play football.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can be a beast in college, but the NFL is totally different. It's totally different. We were talking about it earlier. The aspects of that, what goes into a game, is just leaps and bounds above even college. So I think social media, to the detriment of players, have kind of put this false sense of they're better than what they really are. But I do think that social media also makes it harder, just to be an athlete, because everything is exacerbated, right? And magnified. And, yeah, man, like I wish we could kind of tailor it down a bit.
I think even the Terrell Whitehead story because social media makes it all about you, right?
Right.
And so you have a situation like that. No, I'm not gonna sacrifice anything because I want it to be all about me. That's where that ego and pride come from. So really quick, what would you tell a younger guy that's coming to a HBCU? What advice would you give that person who wants to go to the league, who has those aspirations, right?
Yeah, so I would say, firstly, don't pick a school because you want to play football there.
Yeah.
No, I think that's the worst thing to do. Like, imagine, like growing up, I was a Tech fan, Virginia Tech fan. Like, they had the All-Star of All-Stars on that team from Virginia. Yeah. Had I made it to Virginia Tech, I would have never even smelled the field, let alone get on it. You know, I'd have been like a water boy or something. Right. I didn't have the ability to play there, and I would have wasted 4 years and never made it to the NFL. But I went to a place where I can get a higher education, you know, at a good price, at a good rate. Norfolk State it doesn't cost as much. And then I had the added bonus of using football to pay for it and still doing what I love to do.
Facts.
And a lot of people think that you got to go to, you know, ACC, SEC, these grand schools to be looked at for the league. But the reality is there's one area in which all 32 teams work together, and that's collegiate recruitment. If you ball, they will find you. Right. Because remember, the NFL is not about institutions; it's about individuals. I've seen cats go second, third round from D2 schools. You know what I mean? If you have the characteristics that they're looking for, bro, they're coming for you. So it ain't your job to be flashy and look for them. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that we had a great player here, Chris Bell, made. Is he was chasing the NFL. Yeah. I mean, tremendous talent. I mean, this guy would have 120 yards receiving in the first half, right? But he just left before the NFL came calling to him, chasing them. And he eventually made it onto a roster, but it didn't pan out. Now, what if he would have stayed that last year, refined his skills a little more, and then went into the draft? Right. Come on, I mean, Chris Bell still might be playing today. Right. But he just had the wrong mentality. He had the same mentality that a lot of guys have is, I got to get to this league. Which, okay, but the way you do that is by being the best dude you can be where you are. And it really helps. Because before scouts talk to you, they talk to your coach. They come in, coach, what you got for me? And I remember listening to some of our coaches say, like, nah, I ain't got enough for you. Not this year. We ain't got not one player for you this year. And I'm sitting in the film room like, dang. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Right. So, yeah.
And I guess it's a who you know league too, I guess, because you see a lot of players get signed and people are like, why would they sign that person? But I guess you look deeper into it sometimes and there's a relationship there with a coach or a player or something like that. So as it is in corporate America, it's who you know. Is it the same in the NFL as well to an extent?
No. So there's a saying in the NFL: it's better to be trusted than to be loved. If a team signs you, it's because they trust you to do a particular job. Right now, this is where I say your statement does have some credit. If there are two individuals who can do the same job equally, of course you're going to go with the guy that you know. Yeah. Right. Than the guy who you don't know, because now from a personality standpoint, you know if this is your guy. There are no secrets. Right. You're not going to be tricked when you come in and be a character dude. But the NFL is a production league, you know, and it's one thing I love about it. If you ball, you play, you know, so it really doesn't matter, you know, who you know or who knows you. And if you did get on a team because you knew somebody, if you ain't balling, you're not making it past, you know, the mini camp. You know, I'm just being real with you. Yeah, they're going to black bag you. You know, we're going to go a different direction. Yeah. That's like the league mantra when they want to fire you.
Different direction.
When you say you ball, you play, but in my research of you, right, it's not just about balling. You are a technician to the point where you studied film like no other. You knew how to use your body. I even read where, as a gunner, you figured out that you had to work on your grip. Right. Like who does that? So it's more of being a astute, you know, with the X's and O's, but really studying and sitting down and watching film over and over again, studying. Where did you pick that up from?
So for me, I learned that here at Norfolk State. Okay. You know what I mean? Because to be totally honest with you, like I'm okay gifted wise as far as talent, but a lot of what I do really comes from me just being a little bit smarter than the cats I'm playing against. Right, I never really think that I was the fastest, strongest, smartest guy, but through film study, I see tendencies, and the way that coaches look at football, which I learned from Coach Adrian, is that every coach has a DNA. Every player has a DNA as well. So when I'm watching film on a guy, I can pick up tidbits on what he likes to do and what he doesn't like to do in certain situations. That kind of give me an upper hand. Now, when I was playing safety, that helped out a lot because I was able, make plays and get interceptions. But towards the end of my career, if I still want to play football, I now got to transition to this thing called special teams.
Right.
And I'm like, I ain't ready to start making these checks yet.
Yeah.
So I started studying up, the most effective special team position outside of a kicker, and it was a gunner. So, okay, I'm looking at what do I need to do, to extend my career out here and still be effective. And I studied up on how to beat double vices. I studied up on, hip placement, hand placement, shoulder pad, hiding in your chest. There's just small things that teams don't teach.
Yeah.
Like if I was a coach, I would teach that trash.
Right.
So yeah, I started doing things and daggone it started working.
Yeah, that's dope. Though.
That's the crazy thing about it. Yeah.
I think if anybody asked me my biggest regret at JMU, it would be not taking the time to really learn the game. I remember one time I'm in the film room and I'm like, I don't need to watch this. As long as they block, I'm gonna find an open hole, right?
Yes.
And so studying the game and having that discipline to do so is like genius on your part, man. So kudos to you.
Appreciate
right? You know
it.
what I mean? So, your biggest regret. What's your biggest regret or biggest mistake you made at the collegiate level?
At the collegiate level?
Yeah.
It would have been waiting too long to kind of get serious about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I say that end of my sophomore year, going into my junior year, I really got serious about, my craft and weight room and lifting. And by that time, had already began to have hamstring injuries. Right. So I was this dude where I heard Deion Sanders say, "You ever seen the cheetah stretch?" Right.
Right.
So I took that on.
Yeah.
That's my mantra. Like, I don't stretch. So I didn't really start taking care of my body until late in my collegiate career. And I kind of established something that followed me clear through my NFL career.
Yeah.
Right. And really, I probably could have been playing today if my body was able to hold up. But I have 10 years of hamstring issues in the NFL, and then another 3 years of hamstring issues in college. That kind of prevented me to get to that point. So I would have, just focused on my body more sooner. But in the NFL, I say my greatest regret was my second year in the league. Right, so I worked my way up to the starting role in Jacksonville. I come in as a corner. I'm a little too aggressive in the past 5 yards, so to move me to safety. And I end up beating out, a tremendous guy, Reggie Miller. Not Reggie Miller, I'm sorry. I don't forget Reggie's last name now.
Not Nelson, is it?
Yeah, Reggie Nelson.
Yeah. And he's a baller. Too.
Right, and it's not had nothing to do with ability. It's just like a tackling deal. So at that point, he had a business decision that he was going to get picks and not so much tackling.
Yeah.
In which he would flip that switch when he went to Cincinnati. So, he'd smack you in and get the pick. But at that time, it allowed me to kind of edge him out at the starting role because I was rangy, but then I still wanted to get my nose wet, in there too. So I get to this starting role, and I feel like I made it. Like for the first time. For the first time, I started drinking my own Kool-Aid, man.
Yeah.
And I thought it was sweet, but it was sour though.
Right.
At the end of the day, because at all those years of getting into the league, right, getting to that point, I spent sacrificing and doing the right thing. I squandered, right, in 4 months and ended up getting fired as a result. So I wish I could take that back because my future was very, very bright in Jacksonville.
Was there ever a guy that you lined up against and was like, I got this, and he sauced you up that day, or you kind of underestimated him and he showed you something?
So for me, it was always the big monsters, right? Lining up against, so I was never afraid to line up against a receiver, right? I don't care if it's a slot receiver or outside guy, but when you go against guys like Tony Gonzalez, you go against guys like Gates, who they're not gonna run you,
Right.
but these dudes are gonna box you out and catch everything moving. That's was the eye opener to me. You know what I mean? Because I can do nothing about it. I can do nothing about it, man. Yeah, and then don't let those guys catch the ball. You got to tackle them.
Yeah.
So at least with receivers, like to me, I don't think there are too many tough guy receivers out there. Right? You got Anquan Bolden, right? Tough guy. You got Hines Ward. No, I came in the league, he was still playing. Tough guy. He ain't had too many of those cats. So when it came down hitting the receiver, if you can get to them, they dropping. But when you start dealing with those tight ends who are freakish athletes and can block, you know, that was an eye opener for me. Right. So I had to step my game up with that one.
Hines Ward is basically a receiver or tight end playing receiver.
Right.
Seemed like
Hines Ward out there committing homicides, man. he was smacking guys and with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
he should have played safety.
yeah,
For real,
he
he had a safety mentality playing receiver. Tremendous guy though. Yeah.
You played 10 years in the league, man. From
Right.
from Norfolk State though, like that's
longevity.
So it's surreal.
is that
For real, it's surreal to even think about it. But it was a blessing.
yeah.
And the crazy thing, man, going back to my stepdad, my sophomore year in high school, we sit down and we write out this game plan of what we want to do. And my last goal was make it to the NFL. And he was like, how long you want to play? I said, I want to play 10 years.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And my man set me on this path. It won't pretty. It won't pretty at all, but, you know, we just kept chugging, doing things the right way, and made it happen.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
When you say do things the right way,
Yeah.
what exactly do you mean? Like for younger kids to really understand the integrity that you had to display to get.
Sure. So when I say the right way, there are different components to that.
Yeah.
Doing things the right way, right? So off the field, of course, it's going to cause you to be meek in your interactions with other people, right? I mean, the worst thing you can do is have this mentality of I'm greater than, you're less than,
Yes.
right? Even if it's true, just don't give that off,
Right.
because you're going to need some help along the way from somebody. And it just so happened for me, I got that help from off the field individuals. And then when it comes to the actual game, just don't think it's all about you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Always keep a team mentality and where your talents fit in to best help the team. Right? So I tell young guys, when they make it to the NFL, you made it. The first conversation you need to have with your coach, right, is not, coach, you know, how can I make it to the Pro Bowl or whatever. It's, why am I here? What do you want me to do?
Right.
Because I promise you, you can be trash and everything else, but if you do that one thing they told you to do,
Right.
you're going to be straight. You know what I mean? You're going to be good, and then they can deal with the rest. But for individuals who don't understand why they're at a place that they're at, and they're just thinking that they're greater than what they are, man, they're going to find that black bag coming real quick.
But I think when you look on TV though, right, you see the Antonio Browns or you see the Le'Veon Bells, and it's more so about, well, it seems like it's about themselves, and so that's what kids get from that, and so they think that, and we don't hear enough about the guys that went about it the right way. You know what I mean? And so it gets lost somewhere in there, and they develop that kind of aura about themselves, right?
Here's the scary thing about it. It's 1,800 players in the league. Right? It's 1,800 of us, and you maybe can name 20, 25 cats with that mentality.
Right.
You know, and even those individuals can only play for certain teams. You can only play for the Steelers if you Le'Veon for with your attitude.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can play for, you know, the Cowboys if you have that type of prima donna mentality.
Right.
You know, no disrespect to Le'Veon, but just in general. Now, not to have a certain mentality. But for the vast majority of guys or vast majority of teams, they ain't dealing with that trash. You know, the pool to choose from for NFL players is too great.
Right.
And then you put added pressure on yourself. So if you are a high caliber character, right, guy, let's say you're a unique individual, the moment that your ability begins to diminish, you're out. It's no, let's find another role for you. It's no, let's give them another shot. It's you've been this butthole in this pain in our high parts, but you're balling.
Right.
Now you're not balling, and you still this pain in our high parts. You got to go. you got to go. And so yeah, it helps for guys to stay humble, right, and to understand why you're there, and always seek out your role.
Humility. Yeah. What was your it's time to hang up the cleats moment? When did you know it was time for you to kind of transition?
Oh man, so I knew for me it was time to start focusing on hanging up when football was getting in the way of my off-field pursuits. Mm-hmm. You know, when I have so many other things that I want to do in life, and I appreciate football for giving me the platform to go and do it, but I couldn't get it done because I had to give so much time to football. Or I see how much time football was taken away from my family. You know, so towards the end of my career, I got a wife. She was pregnant. I got a son. He's starting to run around and walk, you know, and talk and whatnot. I didn't want to miss those years. And then the fact that my body just kept breaking down, no matter how much money I poured into it, no matter how much stretching, the tears just started affecting me at that point. It was just a bunch of signs that let me know, look here, man, this is a young man's game. You're not as young as you used to be.
I tell people this all the time. At some point of an athlete's career, is going to be like that what's next moment, right? And so you knew when your body was breaking down, like you have to start focusing on what's next. And so now that the athlete portion is gone, now you just have like the student. So what's next for Don Carey, utilizing that student, and even what athletics taught you over the years?
Sure. So well, immediately, you know, we've announced that we're running for city council.
Great, man. That's
you know, in the city of Chesapeake, right? So, and politics is something that I find interesting. That'd be a whole other podcast. There's something to talk about. Let's leave it at that. But I will say, now I am looking for ways to give back, you know, to my community, to my city, to our area. Simply because I know there are a lot of guys who want to make it to the NFL, but the vast majority of them, if they are going to make it, they're going to make it the way I did it.
Right.
You know, and they're not going to be first, second, third round draft picks. Rather, they're going to be guys who have to claw, you know, every step of the way to get there. Right. And any help I can give them, I'm down. Right? I'm down. I mean, I literally give my phone number out to thousands of young men, you know, every single year when I go talk. And last year I got 20 calls. Right. Call like, come on, if I give you my number, call me, man. Like, I really want to help
take
you.
Advantage.
But yeah, so we do a lot of work through our Reach Foundation, which focuses heavily in STEM, right? Because the truth is that there are 400,000, you know, student athletes in NCAA, and every last one of them are going pro. Right. Most are going pro in some other than sports. Right. So we want to try to help cats not only be good athletes, but use their brains as well. So.
Okay. Salute to that.